Kristi, how are you doing, guys? It is Sunday. It is my birthday Sunday. I guess you can have a birthday Monday too, birthday Tuesday, but this year I'm having a birthday on a Sunday. So, yay! Happy birthday to me. Thank you for joining me on my birthday Sunday stream. You, if you're watching these afterwards because you expected the show to start at 10, you might be wondering, why is this show happening at a different time? And the answer to that in my Looking at Me things. Anyway, yeah, so today is my birthday, and normally I would be doing the stream when I'm meant to be doing it. However, I also scheduled myself to be at a carnival party this week, and that carnival party is noon. That is for me in just under 2 hours, and that had a conflict with the show time. So, I muted myself before the show. I don't think there's anybody in the chat to warn me, but I muted myself, so I could do an entire stream with no sound whatsoever, and I wouldn't know. Actually, I'm gonna pop out the chat. Yep, there we go. Yeah, and so very relaxed show. I don't have to worry about missing anybody's comments because there's well, there's nobody's comments. So yeah, I had to decide what to do, and what I decided to compromise was to have this show at 10 o'clock in the morning. That would give me enough time. I got ready. I'm not really wearing much in the way of carnival. I'm just wearing a red here with my shirt. I've got my carnival earrings, which you can see. You can check them out. Have a little look at them. They have the blown out by the light island. Yeah, just the symbol of the city of Pain, which is the 3 crowns, representing the 3 magi. There's some BS story of martyr of saintly bones that are in the capital. And then the 11 teardrops too, representing 11,000 virgins of Saint Ursula. So very Catholic reason, very Catholic reason to go get dropped on today. And it's a matron system, or a kind of girls' party, you'd say. This is one of the ways that people in Pain celebrate carnival. They have local events. So each quarter or quartile in the city has its own carnival, carnival association, and they do not only the city, not only do the city-wide ones, they do local ones as well. And then organizations have their own little gatherings in addition to all this. That is what I'm going to. I'm going to like a subcategory of neighborhood associations, carnival. We'll be drinking by 12:30, and so I couldn't end the show, and the drinking at the same time. Hence, hence the earlier show. So we're going to do about, I don't know, maybe 90 minutes of a show. I don't know if it'll be more than that, because it's just going to do it. believe that. So, happy Sunday and happy birthday to me. A bunch of people just celebrating my birthday, not sitting drunk with me at a party. Writing out the things. Yay! And then this is where the whole city will celebrate Carnival. And Carnival and Carnival is those people who like, I genuinely absolutely hate Carnival. I don't usually do, although I can still because it is non-stop merriment and noise. And if you're in the merriment and having fun, that's obviously but if you are one of the people who's trying to get system, sorry, I'm just going to I'll do a final check to make sure that the stream is actually running. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that most of my friends forgot that this is going to be a stream. But on the off chance, I want to make sure that we are ready. So guys, what to talk about on my birthday stream? Well, I have several things I had thought to talk about. A lot of them are really super interesting, so I don't want to start with the birthday stuff. It should be screen. I don't know that I can do that. Okay, also, did you guys also find something with the live stream that doesn't show up on your channels or on your notifications? Before I do that, it should be showing up live actually. Sorry for that. I just want to make sure that we're using that viewers because the time that I sent this out and not actually doing it. So one of the things that I thought to maybe talk about that was less intense and negative and controversial than most of the things that are going on in the world today is a news story that I saw about Amy Klobuchar. Kind of a hard name to say. And I'm looking, there I am. Like, this should be going just fine. So, the screen has it's really just, like I said, I just wanted to double check. I added an internet security system to this computer, and that also turned off my firewall. And it turned off my mobile, so I'm a little bit like in the back of my head. Anyway, Amy Klobuchar. This is a super minor. It's really not up there with domestic terrorist that wants to kill and it also isn't, like the whole Trump manifesto. It's kind of muddy, but Amy Klobuchar is a Democratic senator from Minnesota. She is now president of Minnesota, and as you know, the head of the president, there end up doing a lot of background checks. People start to engage into their one of the things that is coming out is that Amy Klobuchar, might have been very abusive or didn't use her staff appropriately insofar as yelling at them, throwing things at them, intimidating them, making them do things closer to like a coaching assistant rather than a professional staff person. And these allegations apparently have been going on since this first aired in 2007 or 2008, like a decade ago at least, that people have said this about. It's also noted that she has one of the highest staff turnovers of everyone in the Senate, and that she has a hard time recruiting people. That's been alleged in the past. And it's weird to me that some people are making the argument that criticizing an abusive boss is sexist, because nobody would criticize a man who abuses their staff. So I want to divide this into two topics. The first topic is abusive staff. I work in a legislative office. Well, I work in 2, 3 work as a legislative aide for the Senate president at the entry level, but the guy who was the Senate president at the time, Democrat named Kristi. Then I was asked to run the state assembly office for a member of the state assembly when the Democrats were minority. So I was running a minority office. And the assembly side of the state's legislature, and I was hired to be an office manager for the Senate and actually work with the staff. And in the course of my career being an employed legislative staff person in Wisconsin, you would think that maybe local politicians don't get massive egos. Oh, do they? And this is the reason why I am very sour on the idea of supporting, an individual over and above the Democratic Party. The party doesn't matter, it's the person. I've seen, from personal experience, people that I went to work for or work with, like went to work on their campaigns or went to work with their campaigns. I felt they were running because they wanted to advance. They were like funding public education and choice and all this stuff. And some people really genuinely want to use politics to make a positive change in it. And those people are great. Patriotic. There are other people though who use those issues to get them back. And then I saw Democrats and Republicans too, but obviously on the Democratic staff side, I heard more about things that happen with Democratic staff than Republicans. So this is like one of those things you keep in house. You don't drag your, you want stuff to
pokes of fire.
So people genuinely don't talk about it to me, they can gripe about it in time. And I can think of two Democrats who were, and actually I can think of a Republican too, who were known for being terrible people, being verbally abusive. One is a woman representative, I'll say this, from, I guess, this, I don't really know, this was a long time ago, but there was definitely a psychological component of abuse where just the way that she treated herself. There was a guy who actually I think he ended up being investigated by the state and pulled up on a bunch of stuff. Part of which it came out that he was having his legislative staff show up to his house on the weekend and staff members to oil change or go pick up a dry cleaning. And the reason why the Klobuchar story rings true to me is that I've seen what happened when you that experience of watching, in this case, Democrats, like I said, I knew it was people I was a Republican who burned through staff for some reason. We knew that from the outside because we just saw the revolving door of staff. We didn't have any inside knowledge that you change chief of staff or legislative aides enough times and people were like, what's going on with you? But getting back to it, yeah, it was an important lesson for me in a study of one person's character. And I learned that you can really learn someone's character, who they really are as a person. Yeah, you know that. If you give them power, and if you have someone who does have you can go back and not watch. Sorry, I had it set up to do a story, but then I just got off and was distracted. But
I'm sitting and walking around in a t-shirt and
when you are given complete power,
with the jacket,
in a lot of ways, a legislative, an elected member of Congress or elected member of anyone, they're handed a budget and they're handed the ability to run their office anywhere that they feel they see fit. There's no real employee oversight of human resources in that way. At least there wasn't in the 90s. You could go and you could make that complaint, but again, if you go and you make that sort of complaint against a city member of your own party, claiming you too, you're killing your political career. therefore give a lot of pause and time to the people who are making these accusations against Frobisher.
Oh, yeah.
Because I do
They don't
know
know because they will.
from personal experience, it's very possible. And in fact, not unlikely that
And making pumpkin pie.
she's done the things that people complained about before. And this is another part of it. It's multiple stuff with multiple stories. And that gives me pause to support her opinion. As I said, I think it reveals who you really are as a girl or young person. You are given power, that much power, over another person, over your step. And if you and if you have especially
for every day available.
tools to make your life easier, then you're shit bag. Why are you Democrat?
I'm so grateful.
If you treat people of a party that tries to stand up for workers, for the marginalized, for the people without the power, against that kind of bullshit and exploitation. And in a system of like there is a lot of sort of built-in defenses for those people who have the power to be the ones to be silent, to be the protectors. Like with complaints and the Congress fund that was the people who were paying off their victims rather than being those kinds of things set up for politicians. When they mess up, it doesn't count. When everyone else messes up, that comes out. But when Trump's Kentucky chair is accused of sexually abusing children, minors or something, so I don't get done for libel, but yeah, Trump's Kentucky fundraiser was arrested for child sexual abuse. And yet people focus, and that kind of power system has been going on for a while. That's all set up and protected for. It's a rape culture that has been built historically and passed on to this generation, and this generation then. Are still using it as their absolute the curtain has been pulled back on that legacy of that
former neighbor Kathy, she came over and said hi to me.
Whereas with smaller I don't know. That case, that's a one-off, looks legend, and they're going to go on and on and on and on and on. So sense of proportion, especially for students, they're more but all of this is aid.
And it's amazing how
I will take the allegations against seriously.
Not at all alone.
Not so right now I'm like, I'm staying away from Frobisher unless this is clearly true. Because again, it's a pattern of complaints. It's not merely, it's not the complaint merely because it was the presidential run and we couldn't and of course she has a right to request for fans on social media.
Leave me alone!
So, come together to have this one story together. So that's one is about how you treat it. If you treat people however like that, you can do your job, you might get elected next year, but I'm not interested in people who engage in that.
You can see his mind turning?
And misuse they are professionals, not and no, I don't think it's fair to have your staff members I don't think that staff members should be getting loyalty in your job is to serve the constituency in office.
He's got the guy that he's
Some politicians can send that to your city,
find people to go with and talking around.
If Amy Klobuchar did that, screw her. I don't care if she's a woman. I don't care if she's got what background. You don't abuse your staff. You don't abuse people over who you know. And, yeah, I mean, like I said, at this point, I'm staying away, and she makes a really brilliant case, and it comes out there, and I'll look at it, but right now, the other part of this is that some people, on Twitter, I've seen not only this accusation, but actual people that I follow on Twitter saying that this allegation against Amy Klobuchar is sexist, because they're criticizing her because she's a woman, whereas apparently they seem to think that if this came out about a man, it wouldn't be a problem. I think that argument is total bullshit, right? This isn't a debate about, having people work overtime on holidays. This is about misuse, in my opinion, of public resources and verbally or emotionally abusing people. So it's not about, for me, if a member is a man or a woman. I don't expect Amy Klobuchar to have a different set of standards, from male politicians that are somehow better, that I'm holding her to a separate set of standards because she's a woman. If you treat your staff people like shit, you're a piece of shit. And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican or a man or a woman or your ethnic background or disability or ability, whatever. It's about common decency that you should show people. And that's what I think as Democrats were meant to, that's the foundation of our policy. It was meant to be mutual, respect in that situation, whether it's a worker-employer situation or a social situation, whatever. Criticizing Amy Klobuchar for allegedly being terrible to her staff is not sexist. It's not. I am not holding her to a different standard. I don't think anyone is holding her to a different standard. If this came out about Cory Booker, I would be as concerned. If it came out about Joe Biden, I would be as concerned because I'm former staff. And I relate to my former, the people that I work with, and I know the true stories like that. So, that's the Amy Klobuchar thing. I think I need to put on 20 minutes. I've been talking for 20 minutes about Amy freaking Klobuchar. I haven't done any synthesizing. I barely did this. And so, that went longer than I planned. It's difficult, you would think, to talk about one thing for a really long time. And yet, I never seem to have a problem of going on way longer on a topic. Then I think I should. When I go back, I go, I need 5 minutes for, there's that one. I need 5 minutes for Amy Klobuchar. Oh, okay, yeah, that should be fun. And then it's like, see, I'm still not, sorry, I'm kind of paranoid because I'm still not seeing my show. Oh, there I am. There I'm live. There it is. Okay. It just showed up, it showed up under my Venice postcard. Let me just have it. Yeah! It's a solo show. That's awesome. It's my secret birthday live show that nobody knew about because it's time change. I'm excited. Anyway. Going on and on about things. Yeah. So, I need 5 minutes for Amy Klobuchar and then 20 minutes. Oh. What else have I... right now then, you might be ready to go over and talk about some more politics. So, since I don't have people in the chat to talk to, it's going to go a little bit faster this week. What do you guys think? Do you have any thoughts on, you can say in the comments section below, but what are your thoughts on the Amy Klobuchar thing? Is it sexist to focus on this issue with her, or do you think that this is not? Now then, let's go ahead and I'm going to transition over here. Pow! How very exciting. To talk about a few things here. Right. Okay, we're not, I do want to talk about the Catholic Church at some point in this show, but it's, it's kind of early in the morning. I want to kind of move on a little bit before I dig into something that heavy. And the other thing too is we haven't done any social science philosophy this morning, have we yet? Should we get a little bit of the philosophy of social science in? Let's do that. Now, a lot of this is, you know, empiricism and positivism, trying to, you know, this is a good one. This is important. So before we get to the Paul Manafort stuff, let's go ahead and drop that down. Let's go back to the cozy. Here's an idea in social science that exists, but I don't think a lot of people understand the science of it. And that's the relationship between explanation and prediction in social science. I'm probably going to do a pretty heavy read. So get used to looking at the top of my head for the moment as I look down. I got my gray hairs, I cut my gray hairs on my birthday. But this is a really important concept. So I'm going to give it some time and dig into a little bit, and then we'll come back and we'll work on it. Okay. I'm just going to go one way back. So I'm reading from Some Problems of Empiricism and Positivism from page 4. And I'm going to start with the previous paragraph because it links up to the one that we're about to talk about. For empiricists, the explanatory power of the theory is a matter of the range of such predictions, what the theory produces, which can be deduced from it, and the theory is confirmed to the extent that these predictions turn out to be correct. Right? So that means that from an empirical position in social science, if a theory does a good job of this is a way you can evaluate the strength of that theory. If a theory is very bad at predicting outcomes, then it's a very not a useful theory, because it doesn't tell us things we didn't know or help us to understand. So if you have a likely voting model that is able to pretty accurately predict voting patterns based on class and economic and education and some sort of nexus between those, and that it gives you a more accurate predictive estimate than, say, you know, what if they have a cat or a dog. The cat or dog theory of partisanship is less effective at predicting outcomes. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that whether you have a cat or a dog is not a good predictor of how you're going to do. And that shows that the theory is somewhat limited. Go away. This takes us on to the question of the relationship between theoretical explanation and prediction. As we saw in Chapter 2, the symmetry of explanation and prediction is a tenet of the empiricist view of science. The hypothetico-deductive model of scientific theories displays this relationship very clearly. However, what is much less clear is whether this model applies to all sorts of scientific explanation. As we saw, the phenomenon of simultaneous emergence in populations of dragonflies this question is but a historical narrative about how and why it came to be in the course of the evolution of the species concerned. A relevant one, but not the only relevant one, in this case would be some version of the Darwinian evolution. Darwin's specific achievement was to arrive at a plausible hypothesis about the mechanism which brought about organic change in the direction of closer adaptation of organisms to their environment. To simplify somewhat, his theory consisted of the following. Many populations of animals or plants, there are many individual variations. 2. At least some of these are related from one generation to the next. 3. In any generation, many more offspring are produced than will suit. Depending on the nature of the environment in which they live, some variations will be more likely to survive than others. These four proposition, appropriately formally stated, combined with the assumption that the environment remains stable in their relative respects, yields the conclusion that those variations which confer enhanced survival and reproductive chances on their bearers will become progressively more common in the population over a series of generations. Cumulative change over numerous generations will eventually yield sufficiently different features for the population to be designated a new species. Darwin's hypothesis is generally recognized as a theory, but it does not hypothesize any theoretical entity. Moreover, it does not make any specific predictions about the formation of any particular species, or what characteristics it would be, or what its characteristics would be. The widespread acceptance of the theory must be based on something other than successful predictions. There are several reasons why Darwin's theory cannot be used to predict the formation of a particular new species. Sorry, I'm conflating words. I'm being a bit tired. We're almost to the end. We've got this in another page. Let me try again. There are several reasons why Darwin's theory cannot be used to predict the formation of a new species. One is that nature only selects from among the available variant forms which happen to exist in a population. The processes of genetic mutation and recombination which give rise to these variant forms are not explained in the theory, which simply works on the assumption that they are random with respect to any adaptive functions which they may have contingently turned out to have. Another reason that the theory has nothing to tell us about the precise environmental pressures and affordances which may be operating on any particular population at a particular time. In several places, Darwin emphasized the immense diversity of ways in which survival chances are affected by environmental pressures, referring to the same nature as like 100,000 legends. He noted that almost nothing is known about this complexity in particular cases. So, in the case of Darwinian evolution, applying the theory to the explanation of a particular case is not merely a matter of applying a law to a description of existing initial conditions and deducing the phenomenon to be discrete. In fact, all the theory does is to provide some heuristic indications to guide substantive research toward an adequate historical narrative in each case. In part, this is a much more modest, but still indispensable, role for theory in what might be called historical sciences, and it's a consequence of the fact that the only mechanism specified by the theory, in this case natural selection, is only one of a number of mechanisms, for instance, recombination, predation, climate, food supply, parasitism, disease, reproductive, isolation, molecular drive, genetic drift, and so on, each of which may partially constitute, interact, determine, or modify the effects of natural selection. These other mechanisms may be topics for other related sciences requiring complex forms of interdisciplinary collaboration in relation to empirical study for the production of plausible explanatory narratives. In sciences where explanation and prediction are closely related, this is usually because particular mechanisms are naturally isolated from such interactions, for example, with the gravitational fields of bodies making up the solar system, or because they can be artificially isolated by experimental practice. This is usually impossible in the case of historical natural sciences and most social sciences. This is usually impossible in the case of which is one of the main reasons why explanation in these disciplines is not generally matched by predictive power. We return to the problem posed by this feature of social scientific explanation in general. This is, a lot of times in the natural sciences, you can make specific predictions for the reasons just mentioned. You have the opportunity to isolate things and look at a simple kind of, describing gravity. You might have wind resistance when the feather falls down versus a rock, right? But generally, the model is quite simple. And in the case of something, even if scientifically accepted, has evidence to
actually in the
theory,
morning.
the benefit of evolution is not in the ability to predict the future so much as help us understand the mechanisms to produce the reality we're in, and this is the basis of religion and other cultures. So science is complicated. It requires a lot of thinking, and a lot of things that people think are self-evident or common sense are a lot harder when you have to think about them rigorously using philosophy. And philosophical principles, rather than just, well, everybody knows. Alright, how are we doing for time, by the way? See, I think because the show's going to go, I've got less interaction, so it might be a slightly shorter show this week. Which isn't a bad thing, because I need to get going. But we'll keep going here a little bit longer, and then I might take a little break. So let's have a little chit-chat about some of the things that happened in the world this week. You guys, by the way, in case you get this far in the video or you're listening to it as a podcast, can you put in the comments if you think about it, if these little readings from social science philosophy are things you guys enjoy, because honestly, I'm getting to the point where I can only claim so much fair use. You can't read out a whole book in little sections just because you claim fair use. That's not it. But I do see, actually, maybe I can do a special sometime. There's an interesting chapter I've just noticed in this book. It is called Feminism, Knowledge, and Society. And maybe I could do a claim of fair use part of this book and do some stuff here and really piss off some right-wingers. Then there's post-structuralism and postmodernism, which would get all the Peterson fans all excited. Alright, more coffee. Also, just as on a weird side note, other than during like a happy hour when I forgot to plug my mic in, which was really stupid, I've also been testing this mic a little bit, and testing being a bit farther away. So let me know how you think the sound goes. I'll, of course, check it back, but nattering. Alright. All the things that happened this week. It's easy to become completely overwhelmed by news and to be, I don't know, do you find yourself numb as well now at this point? We find out that Trump again tried to do obstruction of justice while in the White House, and you just go, yeah, I know at this point if this was Obama, people would have had Tea Party people in the streets marching for impeachment long ago. And yet on the left, we have, we don't have I know this is groupthink on the left, but the fact is that we don't have the kind of groupthink they do on the right. Have you seen, like, the right-wing focus on the Green New Deal and the Smollett, is that how you say again his name? Case? I see it written, I don't hear it a lot of times. But they all just bang on and on and on with the same propaganda, putting out the same garbage, like they're all singing from the same hymnal. And in the meantime, we're complaining about the lack of coverage of a domestic terrorist that was uncovered with an enemies list, and everyone's just like. So the right wing is freaking out over the police finding out someone filed a false police report, which means, you know what, the system worked. That means the system worked. When a false allegation was made, the evidence was examined, and the person making the allegation was was arrested on the suspicion of making a false case. So why, other than to distract from a white supremacist, would you be talking about him? Oh, right, because you actually want to cover up for the white supremacist Fox News and Donald Trump. Because political violence against your enemies is fine with you, and you want to discredit everybody on the left to justify that kind of violence. I mean, that's where we are. And, I also don't want to go back and try to claim that this is somehow new. What is occurring to me as I'm reflecting on the fact that we are coming to the end of Black History Month and the anniversary of the arrival of slaves and the institution of slavery by white people against black people on our soil. 400 years ago in the month of February, that happened. And I think, what I'm realizing because of my white privilege, seeing this sort of violence directed at people like me is the same kind of violence that has been directed at especially black people, but black people and brown people throughout history. And I feel like when, now we as liberal rights, and it's not just sort of like, the Nixon administration and Adlai Stevenson, they demonized the hippies on the college campuses, and they demonized the Black Panthers. There wasn't really as much of this, population at large as it was in the 60s, in terms of people having the power to step up and speak out against that kind of rhetoric. Now, that sort of violence that has been perpetuated by the state and the establishment and reactionaries, wherever that reactionary is, whether it was a Dixiecrat reactionaries or now Republican reactionaries, now it's just, the circle's widening to include more white people. And I see, an example of this sort of white privilege. Occasionally I'll watch Morning Joe. He'll have Eugene Robinson on, or he'll have Michael Steele, former head of the RNC, on, and be like, oh, back in the day we didn't have this. And I'm just thinking, the black man must be sitting there thinking, Joe, it's always been like this. You just didn't notice until now because it didn't affect you. Now you're seeing people in blackface and going, oh, if this, I didn't see it personally myself, Joe Scarborough says. So because I didn't see it personally as Joe Scarborough, it meant that it didn't happen where I was. Yeah, it happened. It just wasn't directed at you. And so I don't want to pretend that this level of political violence is new. It's not. It's just that as a white person, I've never been a target of it before, and now reactionaries are becoming more open about who they want to target. And it's anyone on the left, really, and before it was like standing up against civil rights. Right? So it was an othering of people demanding basic civil rights because they're such a danger to society, wanting to be an equal, valid part of a society and pay taxes and have the same rights to say something in your government as anyone else who pays taxes. That's an outrageous thought to reactionaries like Mitch McConnell. So, yeah, ginning up this kind of political violence, it's only that it's been expanding the categories wider and wider, not that it's not existing. And I'm sorry it took me so long to figure that shit out, guys. Like, I'm sorry I had to move away from the States and have to communicate with people online, which forced me to engage with a far more diverse audience and life experience than I ever had to. And as a consequence, I hear so many more stories about being an American than had I stayed in my... Yeah, I mean, Wisconsin's got some diversity, but it's a white bubble. My white bubble, my white friends who are all very well-meaning and want to be good people and want to see justice, but they don't, it's not like we ever experienced discrimination because of who we were. So, it's a concept, not a lived experience. And then being on the other side of it, of also being included in that problem group, the targeted group. Yeah, I'm sorry it took me so long to figure that out, guys. But I'm here now, trying to make up for some lost time. Trying to explain to speak my truth now, to talk my shit now that I'm almost 50. It only took me 47 years to figure out. Sorry, guys. Like, I'll make up for lost time. Sorry. Yeah, so, ally is not a noun, it's a verb. Right? Alright, 45 minutes. I'm trying to decide. My coffee is almost done and cold, so I'm trying to decide if I should take a break now and do the 5-minute break and come back. I think I might, because it seems like a good natural break. 45 minutes in, and then I can swap that over. In the second part of the show, we'll get a bit more serious. I will talk about Paul Manafort, and I also want to talk about the Catholic Church and its rape culture and what's been going on with that stuff. So let's do that. I'm gonna go ahead and swap over. Do you like the new music? I thought we'd go with something a bit more in the morning for the intro music. So I don't know if it's gonna go the full. I don't know the length of the song, if it'll go 5 minutes. But it's 10:45 according to my clock now. Let's go ahead and swap over to the pre-show pause button, and I will be back here at 51 minutes after the hour. So you can enjoy that beautiful picture of Venice, which people voted on Twitter was their favorite one. And I also found some music that's a little more upbeat to have you guys listen to. Alright, I'm also going to mute my mic so you don't hear my coffee machine going in the background. I'm going to put on my muted sign so that I don't forget, because there's nobody in the chat to remind me. I'll really be screwed if I don't put on a reminder. Alright guys, I think I've officially talked for enough minutes now to make it 52 minutes after. But anyway, I'll see you guys in 5 minutes. Bye. Hello, I'm back, and I didn't forget to unmute myself. Yeah, I'm digging the new music. I don't know if you guys are. Welcome back, by the way, to my Sunday birthday stream. Happy birthday to me. Woo woo. But yeah, I'm totally digging the new music. I initially thought, hold on, hair. It's on my glasses. That's why. Why couldn't I get rid of that? Okay. Yeah, I had initially the song I had that I was doing for a while. That well, I thought it was like more of a morning kind of relax situation, you know. But then I thought, well, I'll do something a bit more spicy. And hey, Mike Balla Jr., welcome to my birthday stream. It's you and me, buddy. It's us. Thank you for joining me. You should totally follow Dusty Smith, by the way. I still have that freaking hair. I can see it. It's not gone yet. Hold on. Is it gray? Is it a gray one? Or a color? Actually, no. Looks like I lost a brown one. Brown hair. That's sort of the wrong color you want to lose. But anyway. Yeah, thanks for my happy birthday wishes. You should totally follow Dusty Smith on Twitter. Dusty Smith was on a recent happy hour. Big fan. You know, Dusty and I, you know, there's like a lot of things. We don't agree 100%. You know, like when he says the R word, I cringe. But I also know he's got a really good heart and he is moving forward and he is, you know, speaking from a place of compassion and on his path. And he does care about a lot of progressive issues. So, Kristi, birthday, yes. Oh, hey, look at that. You got 2 people. Hello, Data Portal Doll as well. Yes, I am one day closer to the inevitability of my own non-existence. But aren't we all? Yeah, I am, I guess, I'm, you know, do you ever get to the point where you kind of forget how old you are? Like, you know, it's generally within a couple of years. But, yeah, I'm officially 47. Which, I'm kind of torn because I turned 42, and then I was I was the answer to life, the universe, and everything for a year, and that was sort of like a peak, like achievement. But 47 is one of my, it was the number of the bus that I took as a child to go to my primary school every day, and so bus, like the number 47, has been associated not with necessarily positive things in my life, but it stuck out. So in that way, I'm not unhappy to be 47 because I think it's a nice number. But other than that, I really don't have a comment on getting older or anything. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna get gray hair. I'm gonna get more wrinkles. You know, life is gonna happen. So I just enjoy it. Followed him a little behind on the few recent happy hours. There was a burst of them like a week ago. Yeah, there was a burst of activity because then I was gone in Venice. I don't know if you guys saw my Venice postcard. I spent yesterday making that for you. No, I actually did spend like I don't really make it necessarily like a gift. Like I'm not gonna be insulted if you don't watch my Venice live stream or my Venice video. But I did spend some time putting it together. I've noticed if you go back and look at my video postcards, I see you, Data Portal Doll. I'll reply to you in just a second. But I can see my progression as a filmmaker, you know, or a videographer. I guess videographer is a better term. I can see, you know, the first one I did I actually think was just a formulaic app where it was a trip to Amsterdam. I'd just gotten the app. I took some video in, you know, into the app and I played with it. And the video app, or sorry, the app itself added music and graphics and controlled like while the images were pieced together. And so that was the first one I did. This one that I just put up, all the music I found myself, all the B-roll, all that kind of stuff was all hand done, all the transitions and everything. So yeah, that was, and I'm looking back at it going, yeah, that's actually not too bad. I see myself, and this is not, it's you know, monkey see, monkey do, or, you know, what you just copy what you know. But there was one point I realized I actually looked like a semi-professional travel person. It was in the gondolas. There was some nice music being played underneath, and I was editing between the clips of the gondola ride. And at one point, I kind of dropped the audio so that it wasn't dominating the music, but it was just like an offhanded comment where I was looking at where gondolas were made. There are 2 places apparently in the world where gondolas are made, and we went past one of them, which is inside the down central area of Venice. And I kind of do this thing where I threw in a clip where I kind of talk to the camera and I show the bit and then whatever. And I was like, oh, I'm actually kind of proud of that. That looks like I'm copying a professional show. That's what I aspire to. If I can look like I'm copying professionals, that's my metric. So, right. So, Data Port Doll. I turned 26, and it was basically the same until I hit 30. Yeah, and I've not really paid attention since. That's also kind of the case for me. I remember 30 being a pretty big number for me, and I had a big party, and I think I had more psychological, like emotional angst about turning 30. Then, when I turned 40, it kind of hit me like I had moved to Germany. Like a lot happened. When I was 30, I was working as the chief of staff in a legislative office. I owned a house. I thought I had my life all figured out. And in the intervening decade, I ended up selling the house, going back to school in a different country, moving to so it was like a lot happened in 10 years. Like the 30s kind of like got by me pretty quick. And when I turned 40, I was here in Germany. I have a mug that a friend made. Actually has. I still have my 40th birthday mug. It was 2011 or 2012. 2012, because I was born in 72. That makes sense. So a few months after I arrived in Germany, because I landed in like late August of 2011, and I turned 40 in February of 2012. Where was I going with this? Sorry. Oh yeah. I remember like feeling, oh my god, 40, and then I thought, I still have 25 years of work in front of me before I can retire. And I suddenly didn't feel as old anymore. I'm like, 25 years, that's a long time. That's a long time to work. And then through my 40s, I've just been accepting the inevitability of death. So I kind of, I get why if people lived into their 40s in medieval times when there was less technology and less scientific knowledge, you kind of got the hang of things, I'm sure, even faster in those days. But yeah, I kind of feel that, I'm not looking for immediate cessation of my existence. However, if anything were to happen to me now, I don't feel like there would be a longing of, oh, if only, or a ton of regrets of things that I haven't done. Because, it's unlisted. Oh, you know what? Thank you so much for telling me that. By the way, Mike, I think the problem was I was going to do a test stream. I'll change that now. You are awesome, Mike. Thank you. You are nice and you're smart. So thank you for that. I don't know if I can change the settings of it. Yeah, here's the privacy listing. Bam! Now I should be public. Boom. I think I was going to do a test with my new firewall in case it didn't work, and then it ended up definitely not working. So I didn't do the test. And now I'll be able to see. See, I thought just nobody loved me. I thought everyone was like, fuck you, Kristi, it's your birthday. Who cares? But it was my fault. I had a private party and I didn't invite anyone. That's on me, guys. That's when you put out an unlisted party and then you send the link out and only the people who follow you on Twitter come. That's you being a dick. No. So thank you, Mike, Balla Jr. And thank you, Niall, for my birthday wishes. All right. So the people are gonna be mad at me, like, I didn't know about the stream until I woke up this morning. Yeah. Oh, but it's okay. Because if you missed this stream live because Kristi screwed up, you can see me later on. I usually start at 6 my time, Data Port Doll. Yeah, normally I would start at noon, but it's because it's my birthday. It's also the day of a carnival party. So this is it. I'm also scheduled to have my patron hangout normally it's 6 o'clock tonight. I will have to check. I think I pushed it back to like 8 o'clock because what time is it now? In approximately, it's 11. So in approximately 30 to 45 minutes, I'm going to be heading out. I'm going to start drinking by noon. And we're going to drink all the way till 6 o'clock at night. And then I'm going to come home and do a stream drunk. So if you missed this live because I had it unlisted and only tweeted it out because I was thinking over the break, like, does anybody love me? Yeah, you can come and see Drunk Kristi. well, you won't see Drunk Kristi. You'll hear Drunk Kristi because in the evenings I don't tend to turn my camera on. But yeah, that's going to happen tonight here on my channel, and that won't be an unlisted video. How about that? Alright. Oh, I've been talking this whole time with stupid Paul Manafort in the back. Aw, Sarah, I love you guys too. Yeah, the sad thing about having to do a different time change in order to get the show in is that it screws up. I know for people in America especially, it screws up your time, blah blah blah. You know, it's even earlier there. So yeah. I saw a great point. I saw a great point that Data Portal put in the chat, which is, in future I should always check whether my video is unlisted or public if I don't have all my usual hate downvotes. And there were no hate downvotes on the video. You're so smart. Wait, why is nobody hating me? Is this video listed as public? That's what it's like to be me on YouTube. Not just me. Kevin too. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people get stalkers, but honestly, that was really funny. That was super, super funny. Yeah, so come back for Drunk Kristi this evening sometime. I will put out a tweet with that hangout for later. Now, let's get back to some news, because honestly, I've just been talking absolute rubbish with you guys for nothing of substance. Just me nattering away. So let's do something of substance here. Paul Manafort is looking pretty screwed. I don't know about you guys, but it looks to me that Mr. Manafort is going to be going to jail for the rest of his life, and even if he does get a pardon, even if he does get a pardon, he is looking at state charges, which a federal pardon would not exonerate him from. I mean, I guess the people do these calculations because they figure, like, Paul Manafort, why would you break your cooperation agreement? I don't know if you guys can hear that, but the bells are ringing. Let me see if I can open the window. No, it's not showing up on my... I can see that I put on a sound filter so that you can't hear the church bells. Yeah, you probably just hear someone walking, but there are church bells ringing right now. It's really pretty. Yeah, the atheist who likes church bells, but it's more just the feeling of Europe. Anyway, complete distraction aside. Yeah, so Paul Manafort must have thought that maybe he's just going to be in more danger if he tries to cross the Ukrainian-Russian mob connection, oligarchy, whatever, kleptocracy that runs Russia these days. Maybe he's worried for his family or something else. I have to close this window now hard. So, see, this is why I mute myself when I have other shows, because that window is not easy to close. Maybe he's more worried about what they're going to do than he could ever have in prison. I don't doubt that that could be a possibility, but what he has done as a consequence is he's gotten essentially a life sentence in jail. He's going to be, I think, yeah, let's just look at the story here from the Washington Post. Former Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort is a hardened criminal who repeatedly and brazenly violated the law, prosecutors told a Washington federal judge. But in the filing submitted Friday and made partially public Saturday, they recommended no specific punishment for those crimes, saying that it is the practice of the special counsel's office who brought the case, being Mueller. Prosecutors noted the federal guidelines call for a sentencing of 17 to 22 years. Although under Manafort's guilty plea in his D.C. case, the maximum he faces behind bars is 10. The special counsel team said it may ask Judge Amy Berman Jackson to impose a sentence that runs after any prison time Manafort is given for related crimes in Virginia federal court. So if they're running it consecutively, one after the other, rather than concurrently at the same time, he's definitely going to jail for the rest of his life. If I'm interpreting that correctly, that runs after any prison time, that means they're asking him to be put in jail for life, basically. Quote, Manafort chose repeatedly and knowingly to violate the law, prosecutors said, from garden variety crimes such as tax fraud, money laundering, obstruction of justice, and bank fraud, to more esoteric laws involving foreign lobbying. He lied, they noted, to tax preparers, bookkeepers, banks, the Treasury Department, the Department of Justice National Security Division, the FBI, the Special Counsel's Office, the grand jury, his own legal counsel, members. Holy crap! So I didn't know where this sentence was going when I was starting it. So let's just do this again. Let's just like walk through this again, because that's an amazing list. All right. Pause. Just stop that crap. Just don't run that crap under it. It's distracting and it messes up with my feed. All right. He lied, they noted, to tax preparers, bookkeepers, banks, the Treasury Department, the Department of Justice National Security Division, the FBI, the Special Counsel's Office, the grand jury, his own legal counsel, members of Congress, and members of the executive branch of the United States. What a list! What a list! He committed crimes while leading a presidential campaign and while he was on bail before trial, and then lied to investigators after pleading guilty, prosecutors said, revealing a hardened adherence to committing crimes and lack of remorse. Yeah, I mean, Paul Manafort is a lying criminal sack of shit who should be in jail. Nothing to do, I mean, even aside, okay, like, let's just put this into two categories. One is white-collar crime. And we know that white-collar crime is not pursued as much as traditional, like, other kinds of crime. That people who commit white-collar crime tend to get fines instead of jail time. There's, basically, if you're rich and you're committing embezzlement or fraud or some kind of money-related crime that involves having an advanced degree, you're handled with kid gloves, compared to somebody who just, steals $5, which shows the bias in the system. Anyway, so let's divide this into Manafort's crimes aside from the Trump campaign, right? And just look at those. He should go to jail for that. He should. And the one thing that hasn't been brought up in this article is, I think he can. They recommended in one of his sentences, he has to like pay restitution of $20+ million that they said, because he lied and shorted the government. He deliberately hid his income to avoid paying taxes, and that's robbing from all of us. I think we tend to side a little bit with people who want to evade their taxes, but the fact is that when people illegally avoid their tax obligations, they're taking food out of the mouths of kids. They're taking pothole repair off of the agenda. They are depriving society of the functions that we all pay into, and there's an expectation that we all pay in. And I get that people want to pay the least amount of tax possible, but there is a legal difference between finding as many options to reduce your tax burdens as are legally available and then defrauding the United States government. Don't you think? Right, so just some more comments I see coming through. Creepy internet people have caused so much chaos. Yeah, I would say this is we're watching, and that was Sarah, by the way. Hello Sarah, happy birthday to you day, or happy birthday day to you. Is that's I think grammatical syntactical structure makes a bit more sense. I saw coverage that there's evidence now that Russians are interfering in Italian politics, which you wouldn't think you need to actually interfere in Italian politics because it's so chaotic anyway. But Putin, of course, just wants to create chaos in a democracy. And who was it? Somebody said something very sensible. That Putin thrives off of creating domestic conflict because that is how you disempower democracy. If you have a country where people feel like they can have political arguments and resolve them fairly through the democratic process, it doesn't mean they'll win every single time, but they know that the system treats all participants fairly, then it's easier to have a shared national identity, even if you're not happy with the politics, because you believe there's a fair shot or you're getting a fair shake. When a democracy is built on a population that fundamentally distrusts other parts of the population, and of course, what I would argue is that the oligarchy is, in America, has now, since the 1960s at least, had an anti-democratic agenda to preserve white male power, and to specifically disenfranchise and undermine the idea of representative democracy, then you end up not fighting for your ideas in the system. You end up fighting for the system or against the system. You end up associating government with the worst people that are in it, like Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell, who sat in a briefing given by Andrew McCabe saying, we are investigating the president as being a collaborator with Russia. Oh, by the way, I just got a happy birthday message from Kevin in my Facebook. Hey, K-Bomb. Mwah. I know we had, so yeah, there were some sparks, but Kevin's my best friend on YouTube. So we can, mom and dad can fight, and, you know, we still like each other. So anyway, I don't go watch. Anyway, he's talking to me now. Don't talk to me when I'm live, Kevin. You're all distracting me. So anyway, yeah, big love to K Dog there. The K flow, the K to the A flow, or the F flow. I don't know, something like that. There's got to be a rhymier way of saying that. But yeah, and you end up with a crisis of democracy, and that's what Putin is looking for. Putin wants Fox News to say all hate crimes are illegitimate because it disrupts the actual treatment of hate crimes, and it says that racism isn't a problem in America. The problem are people who complain about racism. And as long as we have that kind of stuff going on, it's going to be setting Americans against Americans. So, you know, Fox News is out there to sell fear and division. That's what they profit off of. And those two things are fundamentally in contradiction with a functioning democracy as a permanent solution, you know, as a permanent position. Hating and wanting to dehumanize and deperson and other the experiences and sufferings of your political opponents and turn them into your enemies, which Trump does. Trump calls us enemies of the state. He calls the media enemies of the state. That is not political opposition. That is a declaration of political war. So, anyway, let's get on with this. So, looking good. Yeah, I guess, you know, thank you, by the way. Who is that? Herbie. You're cut off a little bit with where my lead for my camera goes. I inherited my dad's genes when it comes to gray hair. And he told me that he started going gray in his 50s. So I got like another 2 years of this. And then I'm going to be all salt and pepper all over. I've got an aunt who's salt and pepper. She looks awesome. But she doesn't have the 20s look, which I think I'm going to keep. I think a completely gray bob like this, with I'm trying to decide whether I should go back to the longer stuff in the back or keep it short. Anyway, I think a silver gray 20s bob would look freaking awesome. So that's my hair goal. That's my hair strategy. I don't know if guys have this, or some women might or not. But I like, if you have a long-term hair goal, you know, like I want my hair to grow out to a certain length, or I want to get this certain look. You need a hair strategy. You know, you have to figure out how you're gonna get there for every haircut, so you don't look weird. But I'm at the haircut. I might drop the length down a little bit to the chin, maybe for the summer. But let's see what other people are saying in the chat. The entire Trump campaign is full of tax evasive lunatics. I absolutely agree. I think this is it. You know, they're gonna get busted. I mean, the Trump Foundation already got shut down, and the Trump family are barred from running nonprofits. I'm pretty sure I saw that news stories in New York for like 3 years because they mismanaged their own foundation. And what do they call it? Self-dealing. I guess I can swap this out. We don't really need big old Paul Manafort here. Why look at his big gun? But yeah, so there's all the federal stuff to do with the election. That's a whole set of problems. Then you've got the foundation, which was a cover-up for self-dealing in the Trump administration. So they've got those legal problems. And now I'm sure there's going to be tax issues that Michael Cohen is going to be able to speak about, how they defrauded the state of New York and the federal government. So yeah, it's when you have a criminal organization operating for decades, and clearly the Trump organization was a criminal enterprise. Even if you want to say white-collar crime, and just how they dealt with money, I have no doubt that criminal conspiracy will come forward the more that we see. And what's kind of funny is without kindness of it, it might be the case that even though Trump's campaign colluded with the Russians, that Trump was aware of it and approved of it and allowed it to continue with his knowledge and consent all the way up to the election, and then build on his relationship with Putin in order to advance a Trump-style lifestyle, which I think is really what's motivating all of this. It might just be something as banal as New York tax filing that is going to actually do the basis of
flip-flop is better with fresh celery. Well, it's good anyway.
Yeah. That's what I can't stand about tax protesters. They want to use the services and they don't want to pay for it. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm sorry, if you figured out how much it would cost you in a private system to use the roads, or if water was privatized, and like bottled water, you have to pay, let's say like $1 for every so many gallons of water, like not just like a utility bill, but actually pay the profit costs of that. If we treated all public services like private services, I think people would get very angry very quickly. But it's when things run well that you take them for granted. So, when the roads aren't terrible, when your kids are getting a decent education. And then people say, oh, why do I have to pay for this? For me, 35% of your income in exchange for living in a completely developed nation where you have access to really good things is not something to complain about. If you're making enough money to be complaining about your taxes, okay, I'll say taxes I think are very gendered as a political. If you make enough money to complain about your taxes, you need something else to complain about. And I'm not saying you should have, you shouldn't complain ever about your taxes, but 35%, I think I pay 41% of my income in taxes and bills. But I also have a great quality of life, and I don't need a big community to experience. It's a trade-off. Anyway, I can see why Manafort and Trump are such good friends and such good geniuses to go to proliferation as millionaires. Yeah, big brains on them. Well, they brought attention to themselves, and this is the other problem is, they're out auditing what? People who are making less than $100,000 a year. Meanwhile, Paul Manafort's been doing this for decades. And the IRS didn't pick up on him. Another way that Republicans can manipulate and use the IRS to misappropriate its funds or defund it in certain areas of white-collar crime to make people hate the IRS instead of seeing it as a necessary part of living in Putin also leaded the active U.S. military They seem as a real man compared to the white kid. There was a story a couple years ago in the New York Times about how Putin was fighting white supremacy. Because it goes back to this generic principle. If Americans, some people are willing to over the idea of equality for other people, then that is going to be a threat to democracy. So Putin wants there to be racism. He wants there to be hate. He wants there to be homophobes and transphobes. And he wants those kinds of Americans attacking other types of Americans so that we're so busy caught up with our own hate that democracy around us and Trump can get away with what he wants, which is to basically dismantle our world and the world globally as so associated with democracy now. Of course, a lot of that's bullshit. A lot of American policy has nothing to do with democracy. But from a geopolitical point of view, Putin wants us and Europe weakened. And so, if to me, that means if we need to sort our shit out in America, and that means the right and the left need to come together. Especially, I don't think the problem is with the left. The problem isn't with Democrats. Let me put it this way. Because Democrats do believe that government can be a force for good. The problem in this conversation is the other side, who thinks that government is oppressive and evil and is only really there to, do what's necessary for white folks, middle-class white folks and rich, and the rest of it is just, survival of the world. As long as we have that conversation going on, Putin will win. Oh! Is that better? Sorry the fireplace was so loud. I will also physically turn that down. Someone is vacuuming and doing stuff in the kitchen. That's funny. Sorry guys. Thanks. I changed a couple of things when I was trying to fix that fireplace problem, and then because there was I had it rolled up, because if I try to talk and chase the chat, then I wonder if I had that problem before. I wonder if it's just been going on the whole show and nobody noticed it because there was no one in the chat. All right, so then, but there's one other thing I want to talk about. I've got about 25 minutes. So, fixed, yeah. Super frustrating. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I can't hear the background noise, you're right. Got to it, yay, so much better. They weren't cleaners. That video, by the way, so you can't really see it because it's kind of small right now, but I recorded this back in Wisconsin while making an early Thanksgiving dinner. So the vacuum noise is probably the fan with the turkey in the oven, and the clattering is us boiling potatoes and getting things ready for the dinner. So, last 5 minutes. Okay, I wonder if the first part of the show is going to sound absolute rubbish then. But now the fire is definitely, its permanent setting is not only muted, but the sound is turned down as well. So, thank you guys for letting me know that, and yeah, we'll see. Oven fan. You were right, Jeffrey. It was totally an oven fan. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today was just my absolute disgust with the Catholic Church. Not sure if you saw the coverage, but the Catholic Church had a meeting about its global criminal conspiracy to cover up the sexual predation of priests and other people other men in the institution. Because we've seen now that in the Catholic position, if a priest abuses a nun and the nun got pregnant, the nun would get fired, but the man would be protected. And we also see that the Catholic Church has an entire system when children are sexually abused to silence the children and keep victims separated and pay them off, so that it can't be victims can't come together and realize how they're all being treated with the same con game, right? So people, when Pope Francis first got in, he said things that you wouldn't think would be groundbreaking or revolutionary for someone who followed Jesus, but just saying that capitalist excesses should be moderated so that as to not exploit people. People were freaking the F out. When he said, someone who doesn't believe in God could maybe go to heaven, people freaked the fuck out. And when he talked about putting emphasis on the poor and challenging the distribution of wealth and all that stuff, that'd be very sort of liberation theology from an economic standpoint. A lot of people were hating on him. And those are the things that he said that I agreed with. And I thought, okay, Francis isn't Benedict. Give him, I'll stand, as I said before, I'll stand with somebody who stands with me on the issues. If we both have the same goal, let's say like putting the exploitation of capitalism and poverty more in the fore so that we can have a fairer system, I will stand with you if you're a Catholic on that. Just like your Catholicism doesn't matter to me. But then the truth came out. When Francis was asked to do more than just say words, he's failed. He's utterly failed to show any moral integrity, any moral leadership. I don't know how you are a leader of an organization that actually opposes rape, that honestly in your heart abhors the sexual abuse of children, and to get up at a conference and criticize people who are criticizing the church. You are not a religious leader at that point. You are you're a collaborator. You're collaborating with the dismissal of the seriousness of what the Catholic Church is facing. And you know what is especially angering to me? Is that the Catholic Church hasn't moved on from the Middle Ages. It hasn't moved on from the Renaissance period. If you look, and so I really like English history, Scottish history, Welsh, which is kind of like part of, but that whole thing, like the Tudor period, all the way up, probably about to the Charleses. Like once you start to get past Charles II, I lose interest. But from the Cousins' War or the War of the Roses, all the way through the Tudor period, and even a little bit before, that's my jam. That is my jam. The Catholic Church, one of the reasons that it pissed people off back in the day was that the Catholic Church had this practice in England, and I can't really speak for this outside, like in France or what became Germany or Italy or Spain, right? As I'm totally like Anglophile in that way. But they had this system in England, which was called the benefit of the clergy. If you were accused of a crime and you were a lay person, you were dealt with by the temporal powers, the court, right? The king's justice. If you were a member of the clergy, then you were sort of your crime and the punishment of that was claimed by the Catholic Church, and they would bring that stuff in-house and have trials in that setting, and according to their own standards of justice. What was the result of that is it was a two-tiered system. If you were an ordinary person and you committed, say, you stole something. I don't want to say stole a horse. I don't know what the crimes were, like everything that was executable. But let's say stealing a horse was an executable crime. You're a lay person, you did that, and you're found out, and you're guilty, you'd get hung, or hanged, or have your head chopped off with an axe. I don't really know, but one of those two. If you were a member of the clergy, the proceedings would be held inside the Catholic Church, and you might get penance. And there was a massive disparity between people who were tried as members of the clergy and people who were tried under the secular justice. And increasingly, people would try to do whatever they could to be counted as a member of the clergy. And I think at one point, you had to be able to read a sentence in Latin to prove you're a member of the clergy. So then the educated also started getting this benefit, and it was completely abused. But if you talk to so the thing that I showed on the, well, I guess it's gone now, but there was a little Now This or some clip, maybe it was Deutsche Welle or whatever, of that Pope, the conference where the Pope spoke and said, there's so many people accusing the church, you just can't go through your life making accusations, and who do we know is the great accuser? And the crowd shouts, Satan! The end of that clip has a guy saying, oh, if we can just treat, if we can just treat with these priests, internally, then we can, like still keep them in the church, but not let them do the bad things. So like, no, it's a rape culture. You're part of a criminal conspiracy. If you're perpetuating this, they're all criminals in my mind. Maybe not legally, but morally. Anyone who is not saying we need a revolution in the Catholic Church, we need to dismantle the patriarchy, we need to turn this over, we can't be trusted to regulate ourselves. A bunch of men who've grown up in a rape culture don't have the moral framework to understand how to stop the sexual abuse of children. We are desensitized to the point where we accept it, and the problem is us. We are the monsters. Unless the Catholic Church says that, they're not doing enough to stop what's going on. If they want to end the sexual abuse of children that they have created as a global conspiracy, they need to blow up. You need to do a self-destruct. That's it. The Catholic Church is a rape culture. The Catholic Church is a rape culture. It's still, the Pope is the head of a rape culture. They are less concerned about victims than covering their own ass. And that's why they're all disqualified. They're all disqualified from being able to do the reforms. And it's irredeemable. I mean, I have had a lot of problems with the Catholic Church for a long time. This, to me, is grounds for the dissolution of the Catholic Church as an institution. I'm not saying the faith, people are going to believe what they're going to believe, but it's a criminal conspiracy. It's a criminal organization dressed up in fancy robes, helping people get away with sexually abusing the faithful. And if it was any non-religious group, they would probably be on Interpol's watch list. They would be brought up on criminal conspiracy charges everywhere. So anyway, it's my birthday. So anyway, I wanted to talk about that because I find that subject in particular so frustrating. They get a pass because of the perception of their moral authority, but an investigation of their actions obliterate any claims to moral authority they may try to make. I don't care how many ceremonies the Pope has been through to be who he is. If he's the head of a rape culture, he's a criminal. He's furthering a criminal conspiracy. If they're not opening up the archives, if they're not turning priests over to police, I'm at fuck Francis. Like, I gave him a chance. I tried to give him credit where I felt credit was due, but he's not taken on this issue well enough to earn any kind of respect. I should also say I have a lot of Catholic members of my family, so for me it's like a laity institution, and I've known people in my family who've stopped supporting the Catholic Church over this. There are some hardcore people who, it's not about the person or whatever else, it's their personal faith and their relationship, and they've stayed within it. But I kind of see it as, in many ways, worse than the Trump organization as a criminal conspiracy, because it's global and its crimes are far-reaching. So, yeah, it's my birthday. I wanted to get that little clip from Thor Ragnarok, where they're going, "It's my birthday," and I just wanted to play that over and over again. So, right, guys, hey, I'm thinking about wrapping up here because the party starts at noon, and I probably can get there a little bit afterwards. But before I go, if people do have comments in the chat, I will stick around for another couple minutes. You guys can write any things that you want me to read out, and since before I had the fire problem. And I'm trying to think if there's any way to check this in future. So it might just be learning. Like OBS, it's practice, right? Like I'm getting the mic thing right. Do you know this is my mic? I was like, yeah, there we go. I'm finally making sure I mute myself properly and unmute myself properly. So the fire thing was a slip, but I'll just see if anyone has any comments you want me to read out before we go. So again, reminder that I am going to have my patron hangout 8 hours from now. About, 8 hours and a half, because it's going to kick off at 8 o'clock in the evening. And that'll be a chance to come back if it's, you missed this because I put it on unlisted, or you couldn't hear me because of the fireplace. Hi, Mithril Hunt, by the way. No, you're not late. You couldn't find the stream before because it was unlisted. Like, I am turning into that absent-minded professor the older I get. The more things I have to remember, the less I actually remember. Mike says, before this even really came out like it did, church was kind of on my bad side. I'm from Cleveland. We had people excommunicated because they tried to meet after they closed their church. I also had, issue with the Catholic Church on, not necessarily people excommunicated, which is stupid. I mean, who excommunicates people in the 21st century? I was pissed off at that one cardinal. I think he got booted out because of his covering up for sexual predators, who excommunicated John Kerry back in the day. Do you remember this? When John Kerry was running for president, do you guys remember when that actually happened? Like, John Kerry ran for president once. And during the campaign, because he was in favor of abortion rights, an archbishop excommunicated him from receiving communion because of his political opinion. That's the kind of church bullshit I hate. And so I don't know, Mike, if that's kind of the stuff, you know, like people excommunicated, you know, because of the church being a dick, basically. But yeah, there's all kinds of reasons to hate the institution of the Catholic Church. You know, insofar as its collaboration in the past, it's very much status quo. It's not really about a revolutionary message of love and compassion, which is kind of what Francis was trying to sell. But his actions didn't match his word. 8DX, hello! Thanks for stopping by on my birthday. Appreciate it. And again, I'll be on again tonight later on with my patrons. And I will be drunk as a skunk. If you want to hear drunk Kristi, I will guarantee you I will still be drunk by 8 o'clock tonight. So if you're ever wondered, what does Kristi sound like when she's off her face? You can totally show up tonight, and I might even fall asleep on the stream. I don't know what's going to happen. Mike says, there's something infuriating that good people who believe in their pastor who did nothing wrong were punished, but then people actually hurt people get nothing. And this happened like 10 years back. Absolutely. This is part of the problem with the Catholic Church, is that they will throw the laity under the bus to preserve the power of, you know, celibate men to determine how other people should live their lives. And it is all about protecting the people in power and covering for them. It's my rape culture video. It's the motivation is to protect the institution. And so you justify an immorality in a smaller case to rationally protect. That's your rationalization for protecting a greater good. Oh, well, okay, there's one bad priest who, there's not just one, but let's say there's this one bad priest who committed a crime against a child. And maybe the rationalization is, oh, think of all the souls in peril if this came out. If people knew this about Father Sex Pervert over here, then the Catholic Church might lose adherence, and that's going to end up with people being eternally damned. Fuck you. The Catholic Church's biggest problem isn't Satan, it's its rape culture. The biggest problem with the Catholic Church has is not with some external adversary, it is with their own moral failings. I could go on about this. I could get to Hyde Park and do an hour on the Catholic Church's rape culture. I don't even need notes at this point. This topic pisses me off. Anyway, so getting back to it. Thanks for the birthday wishes, 8DX. Hey, Memento Mori Canadian. I thought Roe versus Wade were alternate ways to cross the Potomac River. Very, very funny. Mithril says, I remember that. Isn't it the same cardinal who recently linked pedophilia with homosexual conspiracy to destroy the church? Archbishop, or cardinal, I think it was an archbishop. I can't remember. If I saw his name, I might remember it, but I think he represented, like, I don't know if it was the Milwaukee diocese or if it was the guy out in DC, but it was a couple years ago, so I don't expect that. But yeah, basically, you know, also, yeah, fuck conservative Catholic bishops who tell people what to do with their sex lives when they've taken a vow of celibacy. This is really, you know, I have relatives who are Catholic, but the institution itself, I revolution, like, not even, like, destroy it. I would have no problem with the institution of the Catholic Church basically being demolished and wiped out as it currently stands. And then if the faithful, the laity, want to construct some sort of ecumenical, or not ecumenical, but some sort of way of structuring power and authority that isn't reliant on criminal conspiracy-minded men, I think the Catholic Church would be much better off. Anyway, when I was in the church, there was a lot of denial. The focus would be on false accusations being used by a church-hating media to silence priests saying uncomfortable things. Yeah, it's a rape culture. I mean, this is it. This is why they smash the patriarchy, purge the church, fire them all, turn them over to police departments in investigations. I mean, at this point, if they're not actively participating in the prosecution of priests, then what are they? What are they doing? Okay, I said before I wasn't going to rant about this. I'm trying not to. Catholicism is basically about making people feel guilty for normal human responses. Yeah, I mean, it's not just Catholicism. I think a lot of Christianity, because it came out of a, pagans were also quite aware of the idea that, flesh was temporary and there are bigger ideas and things in mind, right? Early Catholicism took it to an extreme of a sort of self-hatred. You think about, again, the Middle Ages, you've got the whole whipping, sort of stuff. But even Protestantism has that self-loathing in it. They just kind of work it in a slightly different way. And it's not until you get almost secular principles of basic human dignity and things where, you're starting to get a systematic alternative like universalism or stuff. Even the Puritans, who in some ways were more progressive than the Catholic Church. It's not like they were saying everyone goes to heaven. Yeah, don't eat chicken on Friday because Friday fish fry. If you grow up in a Catholic area, you're gonna get some pretty awesome Friday fish fry deals. Now, I personally don't like fish, but I know lots of people who do. And Friday fish fry, you don't even need to be Catholic, and they do it a Friday fish fry even when you can eat meat on a Friday. That's how popular it is. So Mithril says, I know my dad's a CFE vicar, a Church of England vicar. I'm pagan, we get on. He's the liberal lefty end of the church. I had a friend who, she's not, well, I guess she's nominally Christian. She had a baptism ceremony for her second son. Well, I'm thinking of this one in particular because she was describing the story to me afterwards. They had the baptism. It was a very small affair, so they only invited like a few people. And godparents, immediate family kind of thing. And during it, they're meant to say, I reject Satan and all his works, or whatever the C of E version of that is. And so the godparents are up there, and I think he was trying to encourage other, people to join in to sort of back the godparents, so everyone joins in, even with the saying, I reject Satan and all his works, even though it's only the godparents who are sort of swearing to it. And before he had them do that part of it, he just said, now, I want you to know we don't actually think there's a real person named Satan out there. When we say we reject Satan, it means we reject all the bad, horrible things that happen in life. It's like, wow, you are so Anglican. To me, that is the summary of the Anglican Church. Because they're like, yeah, we don't, we're not that dogmatic. Would you like some tea? Let's instead of debating the existence of Satan in, like really conservative ways, let's just have a nice cuppa and have a Sunday church fete. Would you like some cucumber sandwiches? That to me is C of E. I mean, I actually have a bit of a soft space. Now that there's problems with the C of E too. They're sexist, misogynistic, and there's definitely a strain of stopping women from attaining political power in the C of E. But insofar as like examples of people that I feel very warmly to, I have a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? I'll extend a lot of courtesy to somebody who's C of E. All right. Now that looked about eat a beaver because that's a fish. No, I don't think that can. Don't eat beavers, damn you. No beaver eating. Well, okay. You know what? That's not what she said. I'm gonna leave that one alone though. I'm not gonna go there. Try to keep clean. I try to only use at least one I try to limit my F-bombs on a Sunday morning show. I try to I save all my naughty language for evening programming. In a morning time like this, though, it's a little rough, I think, to be effing and cursing. Yeah, I guess that means I'm wrapping up and getting to the end of the show. So, don't bother no beavers, people, says 8DX. Awesome. Alright. I need to go get drunk and spend time dancing with a bunch of other people to various Schlager music. You know what is fun though, I have to say, because so at these carnival parties, Mithril Hunt says, I didn't think of that interpretation. Are you talking about eating beaver? Because I assume that's what you mean. We have, well, it's a mix of entertainment. So we're all sat in this. Normally we're sat in a big like conference ballroom kind of thing, And there are the very narrow German beer hall tables. So the kind where they're so narrow you can fit your beer on it, but your knees knock against the person sitting in front of you on the other side because it's really narrow. But you have enough space for some food to pace how drunk you get, how quickly, and then you've got your Kosh drinks, right? Because we drink Kosh. That's all you drink at a carnival party. So it's not like a Stein like for Oktoberfest. And then you just sit at this table in a crowded room. You know, they have local like high school groups or elementary school kids who do gymnastics. It's sort of like the German version of the pom-pom squad or the cheerleading during a sporting match. During American games, you'd have, you know, like the kids in the school who do that kind of stuff come out and do a pom-pom routine, or you'd have the cheerleaders, you know, doing something at halftime, making a pyramid, whatever. At a carnival event, you get that too. It's like a local communities, kids get up there and they even wear like sort of like cheerleader outfits that you'd recognize as an American or a Canadian, and they do little routines to music, you know, little dance routines, and there's all ages and stuff, and then all the tipsy to moderately drunk to getting off their face women, middle-aged and older. This is not 18-year-olds getting off their face. This is like 70-year-old women getting drunk on a Sunday, okay? So, you know, we applaud them, we cheer them on. We're very, very enthusiastic. So that's one part of it. We also have, usually a band will come on and do 3 or 4 songs. Maybe a local band like Blackfuss here, which is like a local carnival band, or some of the other more well-known carnival personalities. There's a woman who I don't know, but I see her at the big carnival kickoff on TV, and she shows up to these kinds of things. And they do traditional songs. Then there are comedians who come up and might do like a 5-minute set. That's the hardest for me to follow. I usually just mentally check out and look at my phone at that point, because he's speaking, if he uses local dialect, I mean, I barely speak Hochdeutsch, let alone Kölsch, which Kölsch is the way we talk, Kölsch is the way the Cologne people talk, it's also what we drink. So, yeah, it's kind of confusing. Oh, sorry, am I breaking up? Yeah, I did break up. Weird. Huh. Don't know what to say, guys. My mobile camera broke. So, I'm trying to think. Here, I know. I'll just... If my screen is frozen, then the problem is my screen, so we'll just take that off. I'm wrapping up anyway, so the fireplace is still... Freaking fireplace! Tell you what, how about we turn that off? See if that helps. 2 camera. No, my camera's just freaking broken. So, anyway, I'll wrap this up. So, anyway, the Cologne thing is a lot of fun. And I will work out whatever OBS problems I'm having between now and the next show. So, from now on, guys, it will be... I'm just going to focus on getting out of here. I'll show you video clips from the Cologne party next time if I remember. Go check out my Venice postcard video that I made for you guys. I did put that together to give you a flavor of the city if you've not been, or to remind you. And I will sort out this nonsense, hopefully, next time. Come back and see me tonight in about 8 hours, drunk off my face. I will, it should be entertaining. And other than that, sorry, I'm all distracted while I'm trying to multitask here. Seeing if I can do anything about that frozen thing, and I can't. So instead, I get wasted, be safe, and have a good time. I will do all 3. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for joining me for my birthday stream. Thank you for putting up with the problems with my fireplace. Alright, it's probably ruined the whole video, but hey, live and learn. Eventually, I'll almost be professional. So, thank you guys for celebrating the birthday with me. Hug! That's a birthday hug from me to you. See you guys at 8 or next Sunday. I've been Kristi. You guys are always awesome. And I'm going to hit the stop streaming button now. Bye!